Airman, this is your captain speaking.
The seatbelt signs have been turned on. My passengers, my responsibility. One way or another, to get off this island. I like this guy.
A routine flight, 35,000 feet in the air, suddenly drops into chaos. When a violent storm knocks out all systems, veteran pilot Brodie Torrance is forced to crash land a commercial airliner. In the last place anyone wants to be, a lawless island run by mercenaries and killers. But survival comes with a cost, and the only man who can help is a convicted murderer, trapped, outnumbered, and no backup. This isn't about flying anymore. It's about staying alive. This is Plane 2022, fully recapped. On New Year's Eve, veteran pilot Brodie Torrance, once part of the Royal Air Force and now flying for Trailblazer Airlines, is in command of Flight 119, departing Singapore for Honolulu with a brief fuel stop in Tokyo. He's looking forward to ringing in the new year with his daughter in Hawaii. But fate has other plans. Right from the start, things turn grim. Weather Control warns of a severe storm brewing along the flight path. Torrance suggests rerouting to avoid the turbulence. After all, there are only 14 passengers and light cargo. But the airline, obsessed with cutting costs, shuts him down. They order him to fly straight through the storm to save fuel. To make matters worse, a last-minute addition is loaded onto the flight. Louis Gaspare, a murder suspect being extradited from Indonesia to Canada. He boards in cuffs, escorted by a Canadian officer. Once airborne, the plane hits violent turbulence. Torrance and co-pilot Samuel Delhi try to steer clear, but radio contact fails. The storm intensifies. Passengers scream as the cabin shakes violently. While Torrance steps out to calm the chaos, lightning strikes. Torrance slams into a luggage rack, injured and bleeding. The co-pilot estimates they're somewhere near the Philippine Islands, with barely 10 minutes of battery backup left. They push through the storm blindly, dodging death at every second. 2 lives are lost in the chaos, a flight attendant and the Canadian officer. Both die in freak accidents during the turbulence. It's a grim reminder that survival is not guaranteed. Torrance prepares for a water landing, but then spots land. He redirects, aiming for a narrow jungle road. With expert skill, he crash lands the aircraft. Sparks fly, fuel lines flicker. The plane could ignite at any moment. But they survive. The crew and passengers evacuate. At Trailblazers HQ in New York, the alert hits. Director Terry Hampton panics. He orders crisis manager David Scarsdale to step in. Scarsdale immediately blames the airline's greed and stupidity. He confirms the region has no official government. The crash site lies in territory ruled by armed militias. Realizing the danger, Scarsdale brings in a private military firm, mercenaries skilled in black ops. Meanwhile, he reviews the crew files and finds a clip of Torrance choking out a violent passenger mid-flight. Rather than disapprove, he calls it professionalism. It's also the reason Torrance was demoted to this quiet route. Back in the jungle, the survivors set up camp. Lead flight attendant Bonnie hands Torrance the keys to Gaspar's cuffs and helps retrieve supplies. They leave the dead behind. While scavenging, Torrance finds documents proving Gaspare served in the French Foreign Legion. Suddenly, the murderer seems more like a soldier. Still, he keeps the discovery to himself and quietly investigates their location. Delhi suggests they've landed on Jolo Island. A place where no laws exist, only armed factions and fear. Torrance recalls spotting a lone building during descent. He decides to investigate and takes Gaspare with him. Along the way, Gaspare defends himself against a fellow passenger and claims he was falsely accused of murder, fleeing into the Legion for safety. Meanwhile, rebel warlord Dada Junmar learns of the crash. He dispatches armed men to seize the plane. Torrance and Gaspare reach the abandoned building. Inside, they find a working landline. Torrance calls Trailblazer, but the operator thinks it's a hoax. He then calls his daughter, But mid-conversation, an intruder attacks. In a brutal, up-close fight, Torrance kills the man by snapping his neck. Gunshots follow. Gaspar bursts in, carrying a rifle. He just killed 2 bandits on stairs. They explore deeper and uncover horror. A bloodstained wall, foreign passports scattered across the floor, and a camera with footage of previous hostages being ransomed or executed. They have no time to waste. Back at the crash site, the rebels arrive, firing shots to terrorize the survivors. A woman runs. She's shot in the back. Her husband tries to help. He's executed with a blade. From cover, Torrance is ready to intervene. Gaspar holds him back. The bandits herd the survivors into a bus and drive off. 2 looters stay behind. Torrance and Gaspar ambush them. Gaspar kills one. They capture the other and interrogate him. He confirms Junmer's men are taking the hostages to a rebel village, Denullet. Meanwhile, Scarsdale confirms Torrance's voice through the emergency call. His daughter backs it up. He tracks the location and alerts the mercenary team. Torrance returns to the plane and tests the systems. Some power remains. He writes a message on his shirt. Hostages held in Denullet. I've got to get them. He hears a shot. Gaspar has executed the second looter. The mercenaries arrive at the plane and find the note. They gear up and move toward the village. Torrance and Gaspar sneak into the rebel camp under cover of darkness, eliminate 2 guards, and find the hostages. But escaping won't be easy. Roads are swarming with armed patrols. Torrance hatches a desperate plan. Surrender himself in exchange for the hostages. He hopes they'll see value in keeping him alive. He bluffs, says the Philippine army is en route. Junmar laughs and orders his death. Gunfire erupts. Just in time, the mercenaries storm in, spraying bullets. Torrance is rescued, and the hostages are freed. They all race back to the plane, using the bus as cover. Torrance lays out the final plan. Restart the damaged plane and fly out before they're overrun. Once the engines start, they'll have 2 minutes to take off. Gaspar stays behind. He knows he can't go with them. They shake hands. No words, just mutual respect. The rebels attack. A brutal gunfight breaks out. Torrance is shot in the leg, limps to the cockpit, and powers up the engines. As the plane rolls onto the jungle road, Gaspar runs out of ammo. Searching through Merc gear, he finds $500,000 in cash, backup, ransom money. An RPG locks onto the plane, but Gaspar picks off the gunner in time. Junmar tries one last shot himself. Torrance floors it, slams into Junmar, and takes off. One engine's dead. The wing is damaged. Fuel is nearly gone. Air traffic control demands altitude, but Torrance can't climb. He holds the plane steady, eyes locked on the nearest safe runway, on Louis Island. Somehow he lands it. Rescuers flood the tarmac. Passengers erupt in applause. Torrance stays behind for a moment, exhausted, silent in the cockpit. Then, finally, he makes a call. I'm coming home. Might be a little late. Let's connect the dots. What this crash really reveals. Not about aviation, but about trust. You crash a plane. You lose your crew. You're hunted in a jungle. So who do you trust? A convicted killer, or a corporation that knowingly flew you into a storm to save a buck? Plane isn't just about survival. It's about what happens when the systems we rely on crumble. When the people trained to protect you fall silent, and the only help left is the man you were told to fear. This isn't just action. It's a question: what's more dangerous, a man with a past, or a system that values profit over lives? A darker layer emerges when we look at the setting itself. Jolo Island isn't fiction, it's real. Armed groups, kidnappings, ransoms, these horrors exist. But they're overlooked by global media until Western lies are involved. This isn't just a backdrop for action. It's a reflection of how easily entire regions are ignored unless they serve the narrative. Peel back the explosions, and there's a story about human resilience. Torrance didn't just survive a crash, he adapted. With no backup, no plan, no resources, he became the anchor for everyone else. That's not just action hero stuff. That's a mirror to real-world crisis moments, where ordinary people step up when systems collapse. Finally, zooming out, the film confronts us with this. Who do we count on when no help is coming? Just human instinct, morality, and courage. Plane may be fiction, but its core dilemma is real. When institutions fail, who steps up? And why are they always the ones we least expect? When the dust settles, Plane doesn't just land, it hits you. With grit, with urgency, with unexpected humanity. It's not just about a pilot saving lives, it's about a broken system, a second chance, and what happens when you're forced to trust the one person everyone else wrote off. That's why, on the flick verdict scale, this movie is a must-watch. It's raw, relentless, and real. This movie earns it. Why? Because it delivers more than just explosions and hijack tropes. It gives you weight, dilemma, and one of the most unexpected redemption arcs in modern thrillers. It's a tight, well-executed survival story that keeps its heart beating under pressure and doesn't waste a single minute of your time. Bottom line, if you're into grounded action, moral gray zones, and underdog intensity, buckle up. Plane is worth the ride. What did you take away from this film? Maybe Plane isn't just about surviving a crash. Maybe it's about what crashes reveal, about trust, power, redemption, and the people we overlook until they save us. Because beneath the gunfire and wreckage, this film leaves us with a quiet question. When everything else fails, who do we become? If this breakdown made you see Plane a little differently, consider subscribing. Because on this channel, we don't just watch movies. We dissect what they're really saying about us. Hit like if the themes hit harder than the action. Comment below, who do you think was the real hero? Torrance, Gaspar, or someone else entirely? And don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive beneath the surface. Thanks for watching. See you in the next descent.